Hello and welcome to Perfect Glamour Fashion, and happy new year to you all. In today's tutorial we're going to be learning how to cut this asymmetric overbust corset. So this style was selected by my lovely subscribers and community members. So if you're not yet a subscriber, please subscribe to this channel, okay? So the first thing to do is to fold your pattern paper. This is cut on fold. Then you mark your shoulder divided by 2, come down by 1 inch, and then you mark your neck width, which is 3 inches, and then connect this shoulder slope. Okay, now you're going to come down by your armhole length, which is usually your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on how busty you are, and then rule a straight line. The next thing you're going to do is to mark your bust divided by 4 and then use it to form your armhole angle, and on that straight line you're going to divide that line by 2. That's your armhole length by 2, and come in by 1/2 inch, and then you rule your armhole curve. Okay, this is the simple way to do your armhole. Next, you're going to be marking our vertical measurements, which includes your nipple point, your underbust, your half length, your front half length. Okay, remember your front half length is different from your back half length. So your front half length, and then your waist to hip. Okay, the waist to hip I'm going to be using for this particular cloth is going to be 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be connecting that with a straight line. I'm going to be ruling it out with a straight line, and then I'm going to mark the waist to hip, which is 8 inches, and then I'm going to rule that out also. And I'm going to label this bust point, underbust, half length, and then the hip. I know you can't see the hip, but you'll see it soon when I would shift my camera. Okay, so next you're going to mark your nipple to nipple measurement. Her nipple to nipple measurement for this my client is 7, so divided by 2 is 3.5, so I marked 3.5 and I ruled out the lines. Next thing you're going to do is at your underbust you're going to mark 1 inch or 1.25. okay, I'm using 1.25 for this my client. Her bust is 38. Okay, so I'm using 1.25 to give her the fullness that she wants. So if you are less than 38, you can use 1. If you're more than 38, 39 upwards, you can use 1.5. okay, so on your nipple point, that is bust point, you come down by 1/2 inch and then connect it to your underbust with a curved ruler. Now notice how I place this curved ruler. Okay, so use the curvy part of your curved ruler facing down to do your connection whenever you're doing your bustier. Next thing we're going to do is to divide the shoulder by 2 and mark. We are going to form our shoulder dart because that's what we're going to be using for this particular pattern. Okay, and then on that shoulder you're going to go out towards the armhole by 2 inches. Okay, so you move towards the armhole by 2 inches. Then you're going to replace the dart you took from the bust line, from that chest line. I replaced the dart. Okay, don't forget to replace that dart so that you don't lose any of your measurement. Now I mark the waist divided by 4 plus that intake. What I use as my dart, I will replace it. I did the same thing to the hip and to the underbust, and then I'll connect with my curved ruler. Connect with your curved ruler. Okay, now the next thing we're going to be doing is to snatch our waist. Now I want to take out 3 inches from my waist. Okay, so if you want to take out like 4 inches from your waist, you're going to take out 1 inch from your half length now, but because I want to take 3 inches out, I'm going to take out 0.75. so for this one side, so on the two sides, if you take out 0.75 on the two sides, it becomes 1.5, and then if you take it out for the front and the back, it becomes 3. So whatever you want to take out from your waist, divide it by 4 and then take it out on your half length. Now for the bust dart, you're going to come down from your bust point by the difference between your front and back half length. Her front half length is 17, her back half length is 15.75, and that's why I have 1.25. okay, so I took out 1.25 as her bust dart. Now for the hem, I came down from the side by 4 inches. You can use 5 or 6 inches if you want, and then for the center front I came down by 7.5. Okay, now I'm going to be closing up this dart so that I can form my arc or curve or whatever you call this. So I'm using my curved ruler to form my arc. Do well to use your curved ruler or your free hand to form your arc. Okay, so with this done, we're almost done with the front part. It's actually this easy. So the only thing I'm going to do is to trace out my lines, because you know this thing is unfold. Okay, so I traced out my lines, I redrew out my lines on the other side just for clarity. Okay, so now we're going to be cutting out the shoulder. That's asymmetric, that's the start of the show. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is to close my shoulder dart by opening my bust dart. You see that? So open up your bust dart and your shoulder dart and use your sellotape to close up the shoulder darts. Okay, you're still going to open it back up, but for now just close it so that we can get our asymmetric design for the shoulder. Okay, so when you have closed this up, come down by 1 inch, or you can actually use the exact measurement you have, but I prefer to come down by ½ inch. Okay, I don't want it to be poking up too much. Then you connect it to back to the armhole. Now you're going to connect it to the other side, to the armhole of the other side. It is that simple. Okay, just connect it. I have to reconnect it so that it will give me a little bit of depth in that area. Okay, so do well to connect it however you feel comfortable. And then I'm going to be cutting this out. So this is what I have, this is what it's supposed to look like, and I'll cut it out. Now I will open back up that shoulder, and then I'll close the bust dart. I'm going to close the bust dart on both sides, so I'm just using this place as an example. On the left side and the right side, you're going to close up the bust dart. Okay, then you cut it out. Look very closely to see how I do the cutting so that you will not make any mistake. Okay, so cut it out the way I'm doing, and then remember to close your bust dart for the other side. Okay, for the front part, I decided to open the center front into 2. Okay, I opened it into 2, and then I labeled. So do well to label so that you don't take the one for the right and place it in the left. Okay, so label, I labeled it, and then we're going to be cutting the back. We're almost done. Okay, so this is usually the way I cut my back for most corsets, so just watch as I do that. So if you're new to this channel, you are welcome. Do well to become a part of the family by subscribing and turning on your notification bell. All right, so you divide your shoulder by 2, come down by 1 inch, and then you mark your neck width, which is 3 inches, and then form your shoulder slope. And then you come down by your armhole length, and you mark your bust divided by 4 and mark. So when you've connected that, you form your armhole angle, and then you divide that armhole line by 2 and come in by ½ inch, and then you use your curved ruler to form your armhole curve. All right, so the next thing we'll do is to mark our horizontal lines for the back. Now when I was cutting this back, this is why pattern drafting is very important. Okay, I marked the half length of the back as the half length of the front. I used the half length of the front to mark the back, which is wrong. But because I was doing pattern drafting, it helps me to correct myself. So when you're marking the back, please use the half length of the back. Measure your client to find the person's back half length, because that's what you used for your bust dart. Okay, so I marked my bust points, my under bust, my half length, and then I marked my hip length. So the next thing we're going to do is to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and connect and rule a straight line all the way down. Okay, and then next I also came up from the bust point so that it will help me when I'm forming my shoulder slope for the back. Now for the shoulder slope for the back, just make sure that your ruler is touching the armhole, and then you can go as deep or as high as you want in the center back. Okay, now I'm going to mark the dart for the back. I'm just marking ½ inch on both sides of the half length, and then I'm marking 0.25 on both sides of the neckline. Okay, and then I'll connect this with my straight line. just to form my normal, this ordinary French dart. Okay, so you connect this, and then the next thing is going to be to mark my you have already marked bust divided by 4. You're also going to mark your waist divided by 4 and your under bust divided by 4, and then you're also going to mark your hip divided by 4. Okay, now when you mark this your waist divided by 4, please don't forget to add your dart intake. The dart intake you took, I placed it here, so you're going to replace your darts once you mark your waist circumference. Now the next thing I'm doing is to take out the 0.75 I took out for the front. I'm also taking it out for the back. So when you calculate the points I've taken out, it's going to become 3 inches, just the way I wanted. For the hem, I came down by 6 inches at the center front, and then I placed the front of my side, the side of my front. That was when I discovered that I made a mistake by using my back half length as my front half length, sorry, as my back half length. So what I did was just to come up, like, correct myself. I came up by that 0.25 I used for my bust dart, or you can just measure from the shoulder down to what your actual bust back half length is supposed to be. Okay, so this is me correcting myself, readjusting the lines to fit into the new half length. Okay, so this is why pattern drafting is very important. Just imagine I was cutting this on the fashion fabric that I want to use. I would have just made a very drastic mistake and it would be difficult for me to correct. So you see, this is why pattern drafting is very important. So this is me correcting myself, correcting the darts, and then we're just going to go on with our tutorial. Okay, so this is my new half length, and then when I placed it at the half length, you see that it's aligning at the armhole side. You see that? So I will mark where I stopped at the side of the front and then use it to connect to the 6 inches I came down for the hem. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I come in by 1 inch from the center back, and this is going to serve as the opening for the back. Okay, that's the opening for the lacing, and then I'll place my eyelets on these points that I'm just marking. This is just to show you where I'll place my eyelets. Okay, so this is it for the tutorial. This is it for the cutting tutorial. In my next video, I'm going to be showing you how to piece this together to form your asymmetric overbust corset, and I want you to stay tuned. We're going to be doing a lot of tutorials on this channel this year. So if you have any question, please ask me in the comment section. I'll be right there to answer you. So till I see you next time, goodbye.